McKinley Dirks.
My mentor, George Shultz. He's the only person that served in 4 cabinet positions, including Secretary of State to Ronald Reagan. He brought freedom, peace, and prosperity to millions of people throughout the world. He was first a labor secretary, then a treasury secretary, and he understood how to look at the economy from the personal point of view. He understood your issues, the things that you faced every day. Treasury, he understood how to create an economy, and it was his policies that laid the foundation for the Berlin Wall to come down. So I have a meeting with him. It used to be once a quarter. It's now once a month as a part of my campaign. We talk about how he was able to work with Tip O'Neill to bring about the best tax reform in the history of our country. He worked with President Reagan in terms of helping defeat the Russians and the defeat of communism. So I think that my hero and the person outside of my family that I hold in highest esteem is the former Secretary of State under Ronald Reagan, George Shultz.
All right. Okay, next question. Okay, do you have a political strategy or issues to highlight that will also attract Democratic voters?
Well, that's a simple answer to that, is that back when Ronald Reagan got reelected in 1984, he seen the beauty of the Latino vote. And I think in order to be competitive here in California especially, we have to win the Latino vote. Until we get back to those good conservative values, those moralities, those hardworking ethics, we are doomed to be a minority party in California. And I truly believe that I have the connection with the Latino community. I've worked it for the past 30 years. I have lots of friends, and we have a lot of voters there. They just have to have a messenger that could talk to them. Because unless you have the proper messenger, you're not going to get their vote. And I believe I'm that person. Thank you.
You know, I was messing around with this cord and the flag. Repeat the question, please.
It's right there on the edge. You see it there, Damien? Yeah. Okay.
Do you have a political strategy or issue to highlight that will also attract Democrat voters?
Well, I think the strategy is to talk to them. I mean, we have to reach, like I talked about, reaching across to the independent voters. We have to impress them. We have to go to Democrats and say, look what you did, not once, but twice. You need to start thinking about how much money we're spending. And you need to think about what our military is like today. Half of what it was during the Reagan administration. So we need to get them in our corner by just putting in front of them things that Democrats have done. They've raised taxes. They want to do something else, they raise taxes. Conservatives say, let's do a cost-benefit analysis. Let's find out what it's going to spend to do this or to do that. And if we can't afford it, we're going to have to pass on it. So we have to re-educate Democrats. I don't know exactly. We send them back to first grade. What do? But they are just ruining our country, and we have to stand up and talk back, fight back. Does that mean I can talk more?
The red light. Yeah.
Yeah, so. I'm still waiting for the yield sign.
Well, we're doing it as part of the campaign. I was the La Opinion, largest Spanish language paper in the country, right? Very liberal. I called them up. I said, hey, you endorsed Kamala Harris without even giving me a chance. They asked me to write an op-ed. The editor called 2 days later, said, we haven't received a response like this in a long time. Would you meet with our editorial board? Went and met with the editorial board, got in a big fight over increasing the minimum wage. At the end of the discussion, the general manager of the paper said, no candidate from either party has come in and articulated so clearly what the economic issues are in our region. I'm having to deal with those issues you talked about. I'm forcing to automate. I'm forcing to lay people off. My advertisers are dying. Would you be willing to write an op-ed twice a month for the duration of the campaign so our people can understand true economics? I've gone to the college campuses, 15 college campuses, 5 of them have asked to become interns in my campaign. I went to the public employee unions, the police officers, and at the end of the meeting in San Francisco, they said, I can't believe it. We're not going to endorse Kamala Harris. Come back in a couple months, and we'll seriously consider endorsing you. So I've already shown the ability to go and talk to the Democrats where they live and be effective and get them on our team.
Well, so far, I think I'm the only Republican candidate that hasn't had to go to the Democrats. They're coming to me. I'm getting phone calls weekly from groups that were very left, very pro-Obama, very pro-Democrat. What do they say? We're done. And we're looking for a Republican we can trust. We've heard about your background as a pastor. We like that integrity. Would you come out and talk to us? What can you do to help us? Let's take one of those groups, a wildlife group. That makes perfect sense. I said, you guys aren't even liberals. You're conservatives. Why? Because you want to conserve, protect, maintain, keep safe and sound wild horses. And you want to do it by preventing government from spending billions of dollars on these ridiculous programs to euthanize or kill these or sterilize these horses and burros. Money that could be spent on our veterans, on real important issues to turn this country around. So I don't have to go to the Democrats. They're coming to me, and I think that strategy is a good one. Great. Next question. Okay, global warming. What is your position if we prove that CO2 is not melting the Arctic ice? Let's just keep it to, what is your position on global warming? Okay.
No, it's your turn.
Well, you know, I am not a fan of global warming when we have children who don't have shoes, who don't have food, and who can't get a good education. I think people who believe in global warming are kind of out there a bit because there are more realistic things we need to be doing. I would like them to go back and study the Pleistocene epoch, and that'll tell you how weather changes up and down. And right after they announced Al Gore, he just can't keep his face out of everybody watching him. After he made that little video, he made a lot more money after that. And I think our emphasis has to be on other serious matters. Not that I'm not concerned about our planet. I am, and I'm an environmental planner. And that's part of why I say, okay, we can deal with global warming, but I don't want my president at a global warming meeting when we've got people being murdered, beheaded, burned, and all of that. Thanks. If he wants global warming, have him inside of a cage and have ISIS light a match.
Well, I think our approach is totally wrong. If you look at every major change in our society, it's been through innovation. And what you have is you have the governor of the state of California going to Paris and saying publicly, I can't, they call it a gaffe when you unintentionally say the truth. And he unintentionally said the truth. He said, we're going to use the coercive power of the state to address this issue. His view is, well, we have to stop with this dream of having a quarter-acre lot with grass on it. Why the hell do we need to? We don't need to change human behavior. We don't have to change human aspiration. We need to change technology. It's much easier to change the technology than to change our aspiration, and there's no need to change our aspirations. I not only believe America can be great again, I believe our best days can be ahead of us. And the way we create that better future is through innovation. If I would have told you 5 years ago that the biggest bookseller wouldn't own a bookstore, that the biggest cab company wouldn't own a cab, and the biggest hotel agency wouldn't own a hotel, you wouldn't understand what the heck I was talking about. You may not understand what the heck I'm talking about tonight anyway. But the key concept is we can make the changes that we need to have a sustainable planet, but we can do it through innovation, not government telling us how to live our lives.
My short answer? Global warming's real. It happens once a year.
right around the end of spring, beginning of summer. It really gets bad around July and August. Folks, I remember in the 70s, I couldn't go outside and play because of the smog. The air conditions in California have improved because it was a real threat, the carbon emissions. Okay? But I think this is something where government just needs to stand out of the way and let the private sector handle these issues. I really don't believe in global. If you really notice, they've changed it from global warming to climate change because it's getting colder. And by the way, climate change is real. That happens 4 times a year, every winter, spring, summer, and fall. I've been accused of being an environmentalist at times, but I said no. I'm a Teddy Roosevelt conservationist because I think if you're a conservative, you're a conservationist. You want to conserve things for future generations. Global warming is a farce. It was just a way for Al Gore to make money. Isn't that the capitalist way?
I'm totally against the concept of global cooling or global warming or climate change. I definitely do believe that we have changes in the environment, and that happens. That's normal. Unfortunately, we do have the other side. The most dangerous man in America is Bernie Sanders because he wants to tax you $20 trillion. And of a lot of his ideas is global warming and global stuff like that. So I would say right now, let's just move on to more important issues, the issues that matter right now, and that's helping people have the American dream.
There we go. Pass it down. Watch your feet. Okay. So we're going to go back to a more general statement, general question. So what is your view on immigration reform?
Well, I think it was mentioned before, the control of the border. I think that's the first thing we need to do. And, I'm all in favor of a wall in certain parts of the border, but that's 5th century technology, and frankly, it's 5th century BC technology. So what I'm doing is I'm working with the people in the Bay Area, talking how we use drones, how do we use sensors, how do we use big data, because now there's technology. If somebody takes like 5 steps by, with the drones and the camera and the big data, you can tell the odds at which they're going to try to approach the border. So we need to have a very limber border security. We have to beef that up tremendously, but it's going to be the combination of the incredible technology that's available to us and the great people that are willing to serve on the border to basically seal off the border the way that you were talking about. But again, it's looking forward in a new, positive way to address that issue.
Yes, folks, it all goes back to sealing the border. Do we need a wall? No, I don't think so. My background is architecture and construction professionally. And I look at our ally Israel. And I look at their northern border with Syria and Lebanon. And they have a fence. It's a dual fence. It's a beautiful fence, putting it in Donald Trump terms. But yeah, we need to seal our border. I think we can get that done. Once our border is sealed, like I say, we will attract these people here. We'll begin to identify them. I believe that we should give them the opportunity to just demonstrate some character and honesty to ever be considered to be allowed back into this country and say, look, you have so many days to come forward to be processed. Those who come forward, we'll give them the first chance to get back in. Those who don't come forward, you'll leave, you'll never get to come back again. And I don't think you're going to want to do that to your family. We need immigration reform that lasts beyond the next generation. This is a generational issue that keeps coming up. And the common denominator, my friends, is we do not have secure borders or ports.
Comprehensive border enforcement. That's what we need. You have people coming in from all parts of the world with visas, and then they overstay approximately 50%. That's a big problem. We got to solve that. We got to find out where they are. We have a lot of illegals coming in from not only from the south, but from the north. If you remember 911, those people that did that attack on the towers came in from Canada. So, it's a mess. We are just letting people come in whenever they want to. Now the refugees are coming in. We're not very safe right now. And with the new administration, Republican administration, I truly believe that we'll get it right. And so we have to work very, very hard to ensure that not only we have a U.S. Senator, but we also have a president that's Republican. Thank you.
Well, of course, we need to seal our borders, but I harken back to what I said before. We're talking about immigration reform. And before we can have comprehensive immigration reform, we have to, again, take a look at what we've done so far. We haven't done a very good job. We haven't properly vetted people. We've brought people into this country who are overstaying their visas. The people who are in charge of this have not done their job. And we have to make sure that they go away. Once we have people in there who understand the immigration situation, that department will change. If I'm elected to the United States Senate, they will do their jobs, and they will keep us safe. I don't want criminals coming back over the border 2, 3, 4 times. But we have to have the laws on the books, and we have to get laws off our books that have created the immigration problem to begin with.
All right, and this is going to be the last question for the evening. What are your plans for the younger generation? It's an open-ended question. How do you want to reach out to younger voters?
So since this thing,
Did you start?
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'll go to Rob.
Well, my wife and I are doing our part. We have 7 kids. It's an old thing we say in church. If you want to grow the church, you either got to get out and beat feet and knock on some doors, or you just got to have lots of kids.
Sounds like you need a drink.
I need a drink. Yeah, I probably need a drink of water. Folks, we are doing that right now. We're reaching out to younger people. Back in May, when I was doing Ben Carson a favor and working in his campaign booth, I sat with a young man who really liked my pitch for U.S. Senate. Says, but I can't vote for you. I said, are you illegal? He says, no, I'm 15. I said, you know what? You can vote for me. How can you vote for me? And vote for me legally? By going out and finding someone that otherwise would not vote and convince them to get out there to the polls. And not only could you vote for me legally, you can vote for me more than once legally. How do you do that? By going out and tell multiple people to get out to the polls and vote. That's how we're reaching out to our younger people, getting them to realize, hey, we need you. You are our future, and I'm here to do something about your future. Thank you.
Well, that's a question not for the candidate, that's for all of us. It's we the people. We all have to go to the high schools and the colleges, and we all have to motivate the youth to know that there is a better way. The better way of having opportunity and hope. And we got to do that person by person, door to door. Make sure they understand that the way the Democrats are doing it, the progressives, the liberals, they are failing America with their ways. All they're doing is they're creating more problems for the future. The debt. When I first ran for Congress in 1994, the debt was $4 trillion. Now it's close to $20 trillion. So with ideas like that, we have to focus and help the youth. And that's why I'm in the campaign. I want to help our youth to pass a baton on to them and know that there is a better way. And so we're going to work very hard for that campaign to make sure that the youth vote for Republicans. Thank you.
Our children and grandchildren are growing up in a very different environment from you and me when we grew up. We're facing communism for the second time in our lifetime because we've got a president who's scared of a guy that rides a horse and doesn't have a shirt on. What I would do is try to encourage our children to actually look at the history of this country. And I said this before, it's not being taught in some schools. What's being taught is draw a prayer rug and color it any way you want. We'll have a contest to see who wins. We need to pull the video games out of their bedrooms, wherever they hide them, And we need to give them a baseball glove, buy them a bike, put it on the handlebars, give them a bat, and say, go to the park and have fun. I bet you if we said that to them, they go, what? They are growing up in a different generation. We have to somehow as adults relate to that and find a way to blend them into, that says stop, blend them into a future. They need a future, and the way they're going, they're not going to do very well. And it's because of political correctness.
Well, again, we're already doing it. Luke Phillips, Luke, stand up. USC student. He's traveling around the state with me. We're going from the Oregon border to the Mexican border, visiting the college campuses. We have 17 volunteers on the different college campuses. We have what we call Sundhein symposiums, and we talk to them. We say, how much debt are you going to be leaving college with? Those are going to be leaving with $20,000 or more. Raise your hand. Almost every hand goes up. Too many hands go up. Then we talk about how many of you have older brothers and sisters that went to college. All the hands go up. How many of those are in the jobs that they thought they would have? The hands come down. They understand what's going on. They're listening to our message. They're signing up because we're talking about a better future. We're talking because we understand what their issues are. So we're going to do, just like we're going to do very well with the Latinos, we're going to do very well with the youth because we're addressing the issues that are important to them. We're really excited about the response we get. Luke's basically taken off a semester to, hang out with me. I don't know what the plus of that is. But we're going to be taking our message throughout the state of California, and we're going to be successful. One word in closing we didn't talk about tonight, which is one of the biggest threats to our national security, is cybersecurity. If you don't understand what's going on, you don't know what ISIS is doing, how they're trying to undermine our bridges, our dams, it's a serious issue. So I hope the next time we get together, we have that on the agenda as well. Thank you very much.
All right. So that was our last question. So now each of the four candidates, you're going to give a 1 minute speech, just summing up what you said, just introducing yourself and why people should vote for you. We're going to start with John.
My name is John Estrada. I'm running for United States Senate. My campaign manager is Jonas Cota in the back there. And if you didn't get a flyer, he will give you one to you so you could take home with you. And it basically says everything I need to say right now. Thank you.
That's all right. Go ahead. You're ready.
This is Duff's Sundhein.
GUF.
Duff and I both have sons that played college football against each other. His son for Davidson and my son for the University of San Diego. So we're close in the football aspect. Folks, it doesn't take a genius to figure out we're in trouble. And we need practical solutions. We've relied on professional politicians, political insiders for years. And I can tell you as a former professional level athlete,